Hello everyone, it's SpawnPoiint and welcome back to another video. So these are my top tips, tricks and features of the Tesla Model 3. Now if you already own Model 3, you might be aware of some of these tips already, but over the last 6 months I've found so many features that I wanted to share them all in just one video. And if you're looking at buying a Model 3, these might all be of interest to you. So as you may be aware, the Model 3 doesn't use a physical key, as it uses your app or a key card. So as you walk up to the car, using your phone in the Bluetooth, it will unlock the car when you pull the handle and you can just jump in and drive away. And the same goes for locking it too. So instead of pressing a physical button on the car to lock it, if you just walk away, once your phone is out of range, it will automatically lock. But there are a couple of settings that you can change, so you know the car is locked just by looking at it. One of those is to auto fold the mirrors. So as soon as the car is locked, the mirrors will fold, so visually you know that car is locked. And also, as I've done, you can set it to pip the horn as well. So it means that as you're walking away, you don't even need to look back because you can hear the horn beep. So you can set up driver profiles for yourself and anyone else who drives the car. This will save various settings, including the steering wheel position, the seat position, the mirrors, the screen brightness and even the battery indicator. You just need to press the driver profile icon at the top and then change between the different profiles. You can also add a new one here and then call it whatever you'd like. So now every time you get in the car, the seats and all the other settings will change depending on that profile. Also assuming that each user profile also uses the mobile app to unlock and control the car, you can set it to automatically change the driver profile depending on which mobile phone is unlocking the car. So to do this, you choose the profile that you wish to link to a mobile phone, then you go to lock and you press the little icon next to the phone. So now every time that phone is within the proximity of the car and unlocks the car, that profile will be used. There's also a feature called Easy Access, where the seat and steering wheel can be set to automatically adjust when you get in and out of the car. So when you press the park button on the stalk, it can lift the steering wheel away from you and possibly reduce your seat backwards, for example, and then when you sit down again or get into the car, as soon as you put your foot on the brake, it will restore your driver profile settings, so the steering wheel will come back down and the seat will move back into the normal position, ready to drive. Now in the Model 3, a lot of the buttons are controlled via the main screen, but there is a physical button when it comes to the hazard warning lights, and this can be found in the roof near the rear view mirror. And it will obviously turn your hazard warning lights around the car and display it on the screen too. Now if you're in Europe, you'll also have an SOS button. Now what happens is when you press this button, it will call the emergency services.
An emergency call has been triggered. To cancel it, use the display screen.
You do have a short time and a warning on the screen if you wish to cancel it before it connects. So to open the frunk or the bonnet, you can either use the app on your phone or you can use the button on the screen. You just tap the button and it will pop the frunk, no different to pulling a lever in a traditional car under the steering column. Also inside the frunk there is an emergency release button too, so should you or a small child somehow get trapped in there, you're safe knowing that you can get it out just by pressing the button. But just be careful what you store in here because you wouldn't want anything to lean up against it when you're driving and accidentally pop the frunk. The same applies to the boot too, so there isn't a button in the boot but there is a lever, and if you slide it to the side it will pop the boot manually. So although the mirrors auto fold when you lock and unlock the car, you can also manually fold them too, just by pressing the button on the screen. This is useful for say driving in and out of your garage or in and out of a tight parking space, but you can also use a voice command, so if you use the voice command fold the mirrors or unfold the mirrors, it will do that for you too. Another mirror feature here is being able to set your side mirrors to auto tilt when reversing, which is really handy. You can select this in the settings and you can decide if you want it to be your left, your right or both mirrors. Then each time you flick the stalk into reverse, the mirrors will point to the ground, making it easier to see the curb or the outline of a parking space. So the rear camera is awesome too, especially in reverse. So it not only shows you the rear camera, but it now shows you the two side cameras too. And this is something I actually mentioned back in my 6-week later review back in January this year, so it was great to see that it's now been added. You can also manually turn the rear cameras on at any time too. So whether you're parked or you're driving, so quite a cool feature if you need to see where that motorbike went that was behind you. So another awesome feature that I use quite often is being able to do a quick gear change. So as long as you're driving forwards or backwards at 5 miles an hour or less, you can actually flick the stalk in the opposite direction without ever taking your foot off the accelerator or applying the brake. You'll then start to change direction using the momentum to slow you down. This is great for doing say a 3-point turn or moving in and out of a parking space. Now the glove box doesn't have a physical button to open it and it's always locked. So to open it, you can either press the glove box icon on the center screen, or you can use another voice command, open glove box, and it'll do it too. You do get used to not having a physical button, and to be honest, I rarely put anything in it anyway. So you can make and receive phone calls from the car if you've set it up in your Bluetooth settings, but you can also send and receive text messages too. This will allow text messages to be displayed on the screen and read out to you, as well as being able to dictate and reply to them without you needing to look at the screen.
Nicola says subscribe to SpawnPoiint.
You can either tap the steering wheel button or tap the button on the screen. In the Bluetooth settings, you just want to make sure that you've got sync messages enabled, and from now on, any new text that come in will be displayed on the screen, where you can read and reply to those. When it comes to controlling the wipers, you can actually control them via the screen by swiping or tapping the speed that you need. So there are 3 options available. You've got the different speed options, then you've got off and you've got auto too. Or if you tap the end of the indicator stalk once, it will just do one wipe. So if you tap that 2 or 3 times, it will wipe 2 or 3 times as well. Or if you press and hold, it will then wash your windows too. But you can also use a voice command. So if you use wipers on or wipers off, it will do that for you without the need to take your eyes off the road. So to get the most out of the car, you'll want to install the mobile app. This is totally optional though, because you can technically use it with just the keycard, but it makes life so much easier. So you can use the app to check things like the battery level or set the charge limit. You can also do things like turn the climate control on and off, turn the heated seats on and off, open the windows, unlock the door, sound the horn, or flash the lights. You can also check where the car is at any time too. You just need to open the app, tap location, and you're able to see where the car is. You can see whether it's driving, which doors are open, and even how fast it's driving if it's already on the road. A little bit Big Brotherish, but it's also a nice security feature too. So the climate control can either be set to dual control, where both sides can be independently set, or if you press the sync button, you'll be able to set the entire cabin temperature with just one button. You can also adjust the airflow direction just by dragging the airflow animation on screen, so you can be pretty precise with this, and it looks pretty neat too. And when you want to turn it off again, instead of tapping the fan icon and then pressing the power button, which when driving can be a bit of a pain, just press and hold the fan icon for a second. It will then turn off the climate control settings in one go, loads quicker. If you want to view more detailed information about the battery, just tap either the battery icon at the top or the charge icon at the bottom. It will then open up the full controls where you can change the maximum charge level and set up a scheduled charge as well. And this brings us on to schedule charging. So in this app here, you can actually set it up so it will only charge your car between certain hours. Now this is useful if, say, you always need it on a weekday for your work commute, and you can make sure that it's preconditioned before you leave. And it's also useful if, like myself, you get cheaper energy through the night. So I've already mentioned a few different voice commands already in this video, but the voice commands can be used to complete quite a few tasks, and ones you'd usually need to use the screen for without needing to take your eyes off the road at all, just by pressing the steering wheel and using the command. So for example, like searching for music, you would just say play today's top hits, or play J. Cole. It will search and it will start playing automatically. You can also do things like setting the temperature for the climate control, or even using it to navigate anywhere, such as take me to Starbucks. So as well as using the in-car navigation to search and set your destination, you can actually send destinations directly from your phone, whether you're in the car or not. So if you're planning your journey for the next day, for example, you can open up Google or Apple Maps, search for wherever you're traveling to and send it to the car. And it means that the next time you jump in the car, the navigation is set up and it's waiting for you to use. So this is a really nice, convenient feature. So you can set the remaining battery to be displayed in miles or percentage, whichever you prefer. So I use percentage, but my wife uses miles. But if you want the projected range to be even more accurate for a journey that you're making, you can actually view this in the graph here. So it will show you how much battery it thinks it will use over the entire journey, which gives you a clear visualization of your projected efficiency. So when you put a destination into the sat-nav, it will actually determine how much battery you'll use on that journey, and then it will divert you to any chargers en route. And because it's clever enough, it won't ask you to sit at a charger for 40 minutes and wait until you're at 100%, it will only ask you to charge for the amount that it thinks you need for the remaining of the journey, so you may only need to stop for 5 or 7 minutes to complete that journey. When it comes to unlocking the charge port, you've literally got 5 ways you can do it. You can either use the button on the charging cable if you're using, say, a Tesla charger, you can press the button on the screen, and the button on your app. You can also press the charger port itself if the car is already unlocked, or you can use a voice command to open it. So there's plenty of options here, but they all need your car to be unlocked for it to work. So if you've got the 18-inch wheels with the aero covers, you can actually remove these aero caps and it reveals some nice alloys underneath. This is what I did within 24 hours of picking it up last year, and I've not put the covers back on since. So the covers are estimated to give you around 10% efficiency, so you might want to keep them and put them back on if you're worried about that or you're going on a long trip. The only thing you'll want to do is buy yourself a hubcap kit, and this covers the centre and the nuts too. These are only about £30, but it's definitely the safest thing to do. So you can set the doors to auto lock when you drive away, which is obviously a great feature, but you can also manually lock and unlock the doors by pressing the icon at the top of the screen. So this is particularly handy for when the doors are locked and you've pulled up next to a passenger that you wish to let in and you haven't engaged park. Now, one piece of advice is always keep a microfiber cloth in the car. You'll be using it every other day to keep the centre console dust free, as well as removing those fingerprints from the screen. It's the safest and the best way to do it, and I just store it in the centre console. So if you're using a compatible SSD or USB hard drive in the car, you can record and store your Sentry and dashcam footage onto it. What's great about this is you can feel safe knowing that the car is protected when you're away from it, and it's recording the front, the sides and the rear cameras. Then when you return, if there have been any events, it will notify you, and you can view them in the dashcam viewer there and then, just by tapping the icon at the top. From this you can view the dashcam footage, and it will sync all of the videos together too, so you can flick between the different cameras just by tapping them. Luckily for me, I've only caught one incident, and that's when somebody banged their car door into mine. When you're using the music app and you're wanting to minimise it or reduce it in size so you can view the map behind, instead of swiping down on the app, which is what you would naturally do, if you tap the artwork image here, it will actually rotate through the different views and the different sizes. You can also tap the music icon at the bottom and it will completely hide the app. This works on any other apps too. Controlling the headlights cannot be done from the stalk unfortunately, as the two stalks can only be used to change gear and indicate on flashy lights. So to use the normal dipped beam headlights, you really need to set it up as auto in the settings. That way it will come on and off when it's dark enough. In the back of the car there is a centre armrest, and this pulls down revealing two cup holders, and to be honest they're a good size too, they'll easily fit a McDonald's large cup in here. When it comes to updating the Model 3, it will automatically download any new updates while you're not using it. And if you're on the premium connectivity package, it will do this over the air, but otherwise you'll need to be connected to Wi-Fi for it to work. Then once it's ready to install, you'll get a message on your phone and on the screen in the car, and you can either update straight away or you can schedule it to a time that's suitable for you. Now you won't be able to drive the car when it's updating, and it usually takes around 30 minutes, so just be prepared for that. You'll then get a list of what features were added the next time you open the car. So this is obviously awesome, because the car is constantly being updated, whether you're getting new games, new apps, or just bugs being fixed. So just like a mobile phone or any other form of computer, from time to time the car might need a reboot, so the screen might freeze or a certain app might just fail to load. So what you can do is you can do a soft reboot, and this is where you press both buttons on the steering wheel, and you hold those for a few seconds, and then the screen will go black and the Tesla logo will appear again after about 60 seconds. Typically this will fix about 99% of the issues that you might face, and including forcing any new updates that you're waiting to download. You can safely do this while driving too, although I probably wouldn't recommend it. Then you've got the hard reboot, and this is where you press the same two buttons on the steering wheel, but this time you also press and hold the brake pedal too. This takes a little bit longer to do, and it doesn't just reboot the screen, but it reboots the entire car, and you won't be able to drive when doing this. So the rear seats in the car do pull down, obviously providing you with a larger boot space. The levers for this are inside the car as opposed to inside the boot. You just need to pull the handle, and then the seats will fold down, and these are a 60-40 split. And something I mentioned earlier, there's no ski hatch, so it's just these two sides. And if you're letting somebody else use the car, and you don't want them to have full control, or you don't trust them, which to be honest you shouldn't be letting them use the car anyway, but you can actually restrict them. So you can enable something called valet mode, and this will lock certain features like creating new accounts or assigning new keys, viewing the navigation history, and messing around in the frunk or the glove box, because it locks both of those. Ideal if you're leaving the car at say an airport where they park the car for you, or if you're leaving it at a garage to get some work done. This is definitely the safest way to do it. And that wraps up my Tesla Model 3 top tips, tricks and features. So were any of these new to you? Any that surprised you? Any that I missed that I should probably have included? If you've got any questions at all, just drop them in the comments and I will get back to you. Now if you did find this video useful and you're looking at purchasing a Model 3, you can use my Tesla referral link too, that is in the description. I've also got in the description a link to my favourite Tesla accessories, as well as a referral link for Octopus Go, which is the UK energy supplier, and we'll both get £50 credit as well as 5 pence per kilowatt hour to charge your car. And as always, thank you for watching. If this video was useful to you and you're interested in seeing more Tesla and tech videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also follow me on my other social channels, including Instagram and Twitter, where I am more active. Until next time.